So hello, Zay. My name's Giggles.
Oh,
She can
okay.
tell. Can I call you Zay, or is Williams better, or what should I call you?
Just Zaid.
Zaid? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
call you Zaid. All right. Um, so I have a few questions. We'll just get right into it. And if you have any, questions that you're, uncomfortable answering or anything, just let me know. Okay.
Okay.
So, Zaid, when you're by yourself, what do you find you're doing most of the time?
Um. I think I'm thinking a lot. I do think a lot. Um. Like. Yeah, I do think just a lot. I'm kind of like in my head.
Yeah, and like what kind of things have you been pondering lately?
Um. I think definitely about like the future. Um. Things related to, I guess, like work and purpose. Um. Yeah, not really wasting time and not wasting life.
Gotcha. So like when you say you're thinking about like work, what do you do for work?
I'm currently not working, but
Oh, okay. So what kind of thoughts are going in your head about work then?
basically how I can use my skills to do like impactful work, basically. So I'm kind of pondering over how I can be like useful, kind of thing.
And what are some skills that you're thinking of using?
I think my main skills are kind of like cognitive in a sense of um like pattern recognition, and so it's like a combination of cognitive and physical as well. So it's
Can
like
you describe it more? Like what kind of like work you're thinking of? Like is it
um
something that's like construction or something that's like finances or is it like a business idea that you have?
no, it's more like tactical, like related work, like firefighting, like real life problem solving, and like crisis management and stuff like that.
Hmm. And do you have experience with those kinds of high intensity threatening situations?
I don't necessarily have experience because I'm only 23, but it's not something that I'm like scared of. So I'm kind of willing to do.
Hmm. And when I guess when you're thinking about it, right? Because you're thinking of like really firefighting is intense. That's a very intense kind of work situation to be in. When you're thinking about it, is it like would you say like you're actively learning about what goes into firefighting, or is it more like you're kind of just thinking about how you would handle a situation? Like what's going on in your head when you think about it?
Yeah, I'm thinking more about like the fun part about it is like the how I handle like the situation kind of thing. So it's not really about the firefighting itself, but it's almost like how I can like maneuver the situation and almost overcome the situation, especially through like my mind as well, but also a combination of mind and concrete. So like manipulation of like the concrete world in order to come up at the top.
And so like what are some scenarios you've thought of?
Um, I mean it's just anything kind of related to like a crisis kind of management, or maybe in the military, but not not in like a political way, but the idea of the idea of the military. Um,
Yeah, can you like walk me through some of the thoughts that you've pondered quite a bit about, like what you would do and in what kind of situation?
I think I just like the idea of um, a problem kind of being thrown at you, where physical force is kind of not entirely enough. So I would have to kind of really analyze the situation.
Do you think you
Engineer,
like do you think you like more of taking the time to think about something more than actually doing it?
um, I I think I do think the idea of taking a step back to think before acting is a good way to approach life. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if I necessarily like prefer it, but it's like I understand that it's a good way to approach things, especially like situations and that.
Do you think when you're in those kinds of situations, like if you were ever in that kind of situation, let's say you are a fireman or a policeman or something, right? And things start happening. Do you think you would be able to handle the situation as it's going on and make quick decisions? Or do you think you would have to take a step back and evaluate what's going on and not make split second decisions, but have to actually like think about what you're going to do?
Well, I've been in like scenarios where like completely unexpected scenarios, and when I go back and analyze what I actually did in the moment. So in the moment, it was pretty instinctual, where it's like I kind of analyzed what was happening and then worked out in the moment the best course of action, basically, and kind of got out of there. Like, and it
Can you
happened. So,
explain one? Can you like walk me through one of
um,
your way of
um,
going through
so,
it?
so imagine like, imagine getting like ambushed, for example, but
Mm-hmm.
completely unexpected. And so you're not kind of sure what the intent of the person is. You don't know the intent of the person. You don't know who the person is. Um, so let's say they 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 approach you to like ambush you. Maybe you're in a car or something, and you kind of in the moment you kind of have to analyze: is this person either trying to rob you, trying to maybe assassinate you, or you kind of have to quickly weigh the options. So if it's a robbery, then you kind of have to decide, like, perhaps you don't have to kind of overreact because they just want an item. If it's now like an assassination attempt or something, you kind of now have to quickly switch in the moment and find another kind of course of action. And I think in that scenario, I kind of seen that it was perhaps a little bit more than just a robbery, even though it wasn't related to me. I just happened to be there. And yeah, I think my mind kind of weighed those options within like a couple of seconds and basically got out of the situation pretty fast. And yeah, I mean, that's the only way I can describe it, I think.
What were the signs that you were seeing that led to making a decision that what was going to happen was not just a robbery?
Um, I think I think so. I analyzed to see, for example, if the person was asking for maybe a item or something, or asking for something, and so I seen that they weren't doing that. Instead, what I seen was they instantly started to like attack the person that was next to me in the car. So the moment I seen that, I knew, okay, it's not a robbery, because robberies, they ask for, they ask for what they want. So I knew it was some kind of, you know, personal like attack or something. And yeah, I seen that, and then in that split like decision, I made like a decision and just, you know,
And what
yeah.
was the decision you made?
I made the decision that the best course of action is to probably not attack back, because it's not a robbery, it's a targeted attack, and I also don't have any information on who the person is and what it's even about. Um, and in the long run, that was actually the best option, because
But wait. You didn't tell me what you did.
like in what way?
Like what did you do? Like what was the response that you did when the person was attacking the passenger?
Oh, I instantly I seen that they were attacking them, and I basically just like abandoned. I got up and basically like ran away basically
You
into
got out of
like
the
a
car?
safer. Yeah, I got out of the car. And
Were you driving, or were you in the
no,
passenger seat?
I was in the passenger seat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was in the
Gotcha.
passenger seat.
Okay, so was your friend in the driving seat then, who was being
Yeah,
attacked, or was this a
yeah,
different friend?
yeah. My friend was in the driver's seat. Yeah,
Gotcha. So your first instinct was to run away.
yeah.
Um,
Well, not really. My first instinct was to kind of analyze. I was analyzing and weighing what's actually kind of happening, and based on the data that I was perceiving, I kind of acted based on that. So if it was just a robbery, I might have just kind of stayed,
why?
because usually they only want an item, and it's usually just like a quick, like, give me your phone, and then you hand it over, and then they carry on. But
So
since
wait, so you would allow somebody to rob you?
um pretty much, as because of I think that maybe because of the location that I'm in. So it obviously depends on all like the context. Maybe perhaps if it was America, it would be
You're kind of far away.
I was saying it depends on the context.
Hmm. And but I guess like you were saying, like if it was a robbery, you'd just stay there and give that person your stuff. Um,
Yeah, but it does.
in what context would you prefer to fight somebody for your objects?
I think when I know that when I have the upper hand, when I know I have some kind of upper hand. But
What would that entail? Like what kind of upper hand?
I think if if I somehow had some kind of prediction beforehand, or some kind of speculation beforehand that the robbery was about to take place, for example, then I could have kind of like, prepared. That doesn't mean it's like a long-term um, prediction. It could have been just like you're walking down the street, you see something, you see someone kind of dodgy. I think that's enough kind of time to tell. That's enough information. Doesn't have to be like a long-term strategy or anything. Um, but yeah, in that context, um, in that context, or if I had some kind of superior um, weaponry or tactical advantage from a certain angle or something, then I would exploit that advantage. But in this situation, the best thing to do in that situation would be to basically run, because you have zero data on who the person is. You have zero data on what's even happening, and you also have just zero like leverage. You have zero leverage. But
I
definitely,
don't
if
know.
I
I
had,
think being in a car is quite leverage. You
well,
could
well, the
definitely drive away if somebody's trying to
well,
attack you.
well, this is the difference. Is that I did actually forget one thing. I did actually tell my friend because I was the first one actually to like spot the car stopping to kind of like ambush, and I instantly told my friend like someone's jumping out of the car, drive the car. But I don't think his like reaction time is as fast as mine. So he slowly kind of, you know, turned the key and then couldn't even start the car kind of thing. So I kind of had to jump to the next steps that I mentioned. So I did initially kind of um yeah, I did initially tell him to kind of to drive, but I wasn't in the driver's seat, so
Okay. Um, so also when you said that you're by yourself, um, you said you think about not just work. What was the other things you said you thought about?
I think just like impactful purposeful work.
Let's go with that. What's like what do you mean by purposeful work?
I think work that feels like you're working towards some kind of perhaps societal like impact. Right.
What kind of societal impact do you want to have?
I think I just want to like be good in like the field that I'm in, whether it's like
In what? Sorry, what?
in the field that I'm in.
But
Um,
you're not in a field yet.
yeah, but if I was like in a field, um, I would be like the best at it, or try to reach like mastery, and um, basically serve the community through that. So it could just be. It doesn't have to be some kind of like um, changing the entire world. It's just like you might just be serving your community kind of thing, but doing something.
So wait, you mean so you mean the impact in the community you want to have has to do with being a firefighter or a policeman or something like that, right? Where it's
Um,
within the community. Is that what you're saying?
um,
And that would be purposeful
yeah,
work?
yes, I do think it kind of has to be. I think humans kind of have to be like involved. Like, it can't be, just about. I think it has to be like pertaining to.
Sorry, you have a lot of wind. I can't really hear you that well.
Okay, I'm saying it has to be pertaining to humans and like community. I guess it can't just be like um, work that's just like self-centered.
Yeah, I guess though, like you're saying the impact you want to have on the community, right? Because you want to have an impact, has to
Yes.
do with something like firefighting or being a policeman, where you're impacting the community by helping people when they're in an emergency situation, right?
Yes, pretty much. However, I don't have like a I don't necessarily have a focus on people. My focus is kind of more on I like the idea of just being good at solving problems, I guess. But I'm not
Yeah,
like
so you like
obsessed
the
with
idea more than actually wanting, it's not really like a driving force necessarily for you.
um no, I mean I do think no, I do think it's a driving force in the sense of like if I had the opportunity, I mean I would take it. But yeah.
Have you looked into how to become a firefighter?
It's not specifically firefighting, but it's kind of tactical related things that, like, I still haven't kind of figured it out, like what that I want to do.
Okay, gotcha. So you're just kind of something in that field, but you're
Yeah,
not sure exactly what it is that you want to do.
yeah.
And what is holding you up?
I think just a clear, grounded path and opportunity. I think the moment the opportunity kind of like arises, then I will take it.
So you're just waiting for like if so it's not really you're not like actively working towards it, right? You're just waiting for an opportunity to come up and then whatever it may be. So whether or not it's firefighters or like the
Yeah, the core
police
principle
department, or
stands.
if like you're not actively pursuing it, you're waiting for something to come up as a way to determine which goal, or like not goal, but which direction to go into.
Pretty much. I think. Um, Pretty much. I'm not sure if that's
Um,
because of a lack
yeah.
of like clear opportunity and a clear pathway, or if that's just like, something related to some kind of like Peter Pan syndrome or something. Like, that's the thing.
Do you think you're more of a daydreamer at the moment than an actual doer?
I think I would be a doer if I had the opportunity. I think
I
because
guess I
of the
just
lack
don't
of.
see why you don't create the opportunity.
I think because sometimes there's genuine, like, you can't. I mean, if there's no problems to solve, like, you can't solve problems, kind of thing. And this, I feel like this is why a lot of people similar to me, I think maybe even like a lot of chess players, they end up just like wasting their life playing chess.
Are you a
Like,
chess player?
I play it, but I wouldn't spend my time like mastering it, because I think it's not socially impactful. It's I believe it's a waste of time to master. I do think it's good to play, but to master it is kind of just like a waste of a life or a waste of skills.
Hmm.
So it's kind of opportunity, because you
Yeah,
know
so you're waiting for opportunity in order to decide where to go.
ideally it would be nice if, yeah, ideally it would be nice if like someone kind of pointed towards the direction. Yeah.
And I guess what do you mean by that? If somebody points in the direction,
I think I think if like the archetype of like a sage or a kind of conductor kind of archetype were to kind of see me, for example, and kind of pinpoint where I need to kind of channel my skills, I think that's kind of what I I think that's kind of what I need, I think.
so you're saying, I just want to make sure I'm hearing it correctly. You're saying that you would like to have like a mentor, somebody who is already in the field that you would like to pursue, whichever that may be, and have them help you go know which
Yeah,
direction to go into. Is that what you're saying?
yes, yeah, pretty much like someone that actually knows the practical, like they've actually kind of done it, and
And have you
they can answer like all the questions like about it and
have
stuff.
you looked for a mentor?
Not really because not really because I feel like a lot of fields have a lot of cons attached to them. So I kind of contemplate and think like, is that actually like, do you kind of want to be trapped in that? Like, I think the worst thing for me to be is like trapped, and I
Do
think a
you
lot of
think
these fields.
you can't quit a job?
Um, no, I know I can quit a job, but it's like um, but it's like, why bother even stepping into something when you kind of already know how it's gonna be? Like, you already know that it's gonna be, yeah, you might have a lot of freedom in that situation, but the the other half you would have to be kind of like very monitored and controlled.
What do you,
So
I guess, how do you know what it's going to be like if you haven't had the experience to actually be in it? What are you
that's
basing it off of?
that's that's very true, to be honest. But I think I'm basing it off feedback, maybe not real like face to face human feedback, maybe from people that have experience, maybe online and stuff like that. Um, I think feedback. I don't think I'm like kind of just generating that idea from thin air.
So you're making like a judgment call for your
Yeah,
future
yeah,
based
it's
off of
basically.
what other people have said on the internet, even though no matter what you choose, it doesn't matter what you choose, whether or not it's like a meaningful job or something that doesn't mean anything, whether or not it's going to be something that you like to do or not, there's always going to be cons to a job, right? There's always going to be pros and cons no matter what it is that you do. So I guess, how are you going to decide what to do if no matter what you look at, there's cons?
I think when so it's kind of a concept of like choosing where you want to suffer, kind of thing. And I basically observe a lot of these options, and I'm just like, I don't really want to suffer in these contexts. But I do think perhaps when it aligns with some kind of deep principle, then that's where it's like I would kind of be just automatically. I think that's the correct situation when it kind of aligns with like a principle. For example, if someone's like attacking your family or something like that, like you don't start to think about like, well, there's boring parts to protecting them, and there's boring, there's some aspects that are kind of, but you don't really think like that. But when it's like it's not really something that you need to even be doing, so it's kind of like selective, I guess, discipline. I think many athletes kind of have that, where they're
So
able
what
to kind of, yeah.
what are the pains that you've been seeing within these career paths that you are not willing to deal with for the greater purpose of serving the community?
Well, I think a lot of them is kind of, it's a bit like I think the long term strategy is kind of like a pyramid scheme, if that even makes sense, in a way of like, if you're a police officer, for example, you're not really making your my point is, it's like they're not solving the core decisive problem, like the core decisive problem, which might be related to policies, or how you punish criminals, for example. Like, those core decisive things aren't being solved. So the officers in between are basically just like pawns on the chessboard. So they can't entirely use complete force, or it's like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Like they're not really actually solving the core problem. And I observe that, and it's like, well, if there's no decisive strike actually solving the core underlying problem, where it's no longer forever again, then it's a
And what
bit
is the
like,
core underlining problem that needs to be struck at?
um I think, well, it depends obviously on in on the field, for example. Like,
No. In the police field, like, what is the core problem that they're not striking at?
I mean, the police thing was just an example, but it pertains to anything where it's like, um I think there's no true deterrence. So crime, no one's scared to kind of commit crime.
So you want to be
Or
a politician?
not really, because it's like, I also don't want to be a politician. That's the thing. Because it's like,
Why not?
because I find it completely boring, and I also I don't think I have the mind power to kind of sustain that long term strategy. That's the thing. I mean,
What do you
I
mean?
could,
I guess I'm not sure I'm following exactly what you mean by the long-term strategy.
um, well, I think politicians, the type of personalities that are attached, that are in those fields, are people that they're able to kind of um, play the long game for a long time. I think I can only play like the long game for a short period of time.
So then why wouldn't being a cop be a good way to go? Because then you can see the problems, right, within the police like hierarchy, and then you
Yeah.
could work your way up and fix those problems, right? So, but you wouldn't be a politician.
Because I I think it would be like, I think it would be kind of delusional to think that like I would come along and completely like reform the whole system when other
Well, yeah,
people
you'd
have
have to work with
probably,
politicians for that.
yeah, and other people have kind of probably tried in the past. Like, I mean, if I had all the power to, I mean, I would. But I know that I don't really like have the power to actually create real reform. But of course, if it was up to me, like, the whole system will be changed. Like, there'll be this more decisive kind of, the core root of the problem would be solved, whether
And
that's
what
like
is the
poverty.
and if let's say you did have all the power, right, and
Yeah.
you were able to make all executive decisions, you were able to change things however you wanted it to be,
Yeah.
what would you change and why?
Well, I do think one of the main things are stuff like poverty, a lack of like, equal opportunity, and solving people's core. What's the reason behind them committing those crimes? Apart from people that are just genuine criminals, that's one thing. But some people actually have a core of, poverty.
And
Um,
how would you get rid of poverty?
that's interesting, and that's where it's like, that's the realm of like the deeper, you know,
The what?
kind of, that's the realm of like the deeper kind of politicians, and that where they solve the specific.
Well, I mean, you were saying that you wanted to be able to solve the deeper problems, right? And like that's why you didn't want to be an officer, is because they were just pawns on the board. They weren't
Yeah.
actually affecting the the actual like environment in the sense of like a reform. They're just carrying out the law and enforcing it instead of actually creating the laws or like fixing any problems. So like
Yeah.
if you wanted to fix problems, right, then what are ways that you have thought of to fix the problem of poverty?
I haven't thought about that because that was just an example. It was just an example, so I haven't really thought
What
about it.
have you
But
thought of that has to do with societal problems?
I haven't thought of anything because I don't think that's how like my mind works, where I sit there and unless it's a field that I'm interested in, and it's not really a field that I'm interested in. That's the thing.
What
So
are you interested in?
um well, as pertains to like those kind of fields, I'm not sure,
What
but
fields?
I mean
What
like stuff
fields are you talking about?
like stuff like society related stuff like a police officer and stuff like that.
But you
I
just said
mean,
that you don't have interest in that.
yeah, I'm saying I don't have interest in it.
Yeah, I'm saying,
I
what
don't
do
have
you have interest in?
um just like I'm sure you asked me this in the other one, and I said stuff um like like physical activity and stuff like that.
So you like
So
just being active? Is that what you mean? Like a hobby?
act active and solving real problems.
Well, I don't think you really like solving real problems because you don't like to really think about it much. But
Um,
well, you just said it
I
yourself. You
don't.
don't
No, I
actually
don't.
like thinking about it. You don't really
No,
care to think about it. So I
no.
would say, like, what is it that you
No. I
like
think
to do?
no. I think I enjoy solving the problems that I want to solve, kind of thing. It's not just like it's the I enjoy solving
And what kind
problems
of problems do you want to solve?
in
You see what I'm
in
saying? Like, what are you trying to solve? What are you thinking of? What are the thoughts there? Because you kind of took me on a roundabout way of saying stuff that you don't even want to talk about or think about. So what do you like to think about? What do you want to talk about? What are the things that you want to focus on?
I mean, it's hard questions because it's like I haven't thought about it,
You
or I
haven't thought
haven't
about the
like
things that you like to do?
no. I know the things that I like to do in terms of like um surface level like activities, maybe like horse riding and mountain biking and stuff like that. But in terms of like a career type of thing, that's where
Well, I
I,
wasn't
I'm
speaking just
still
a career. I was
yeah
saying in general, what are things that you like to do? And
um
then you said that you like to think about solving problems, but then the problems that you brought up as examples were things that you don't even like to think about or talk about. So that's why
um
there's confusion here. You get what I'm saying? So when
um
you're saying what you like to talk about and what you like to do, which is horseback riding, right? You said you like to do that.
yeah
Have you done that?
yeah, I've done that.
Okay. And what is it about horseback riding that you like?
um I think it's a useful skill, and I also, because he asked me this in the other, obviously in the other interview. Um, and I said like stuff like combat and horse riding and stuff like that. But the thing about horse riding, I like the kind of the combat related things when it comes to horse riding, like the adrenaline and how horses have always been used in the past.
Do you mean like archery? You do like archery from horseback?
Yeah, also archery and stuff like that. Yeah.
But do you actually do that or no?
Um. Well, it's that comes down to like a lack of opportunity, but yeah, I would do that, and I have done archery and stuff like that, and I do enjoy it. And if it was available, I would probably spend like all day doing it. Maybe if I got paid as well. But
What do you like
I,
about archery that you would spend like all day
I
doing?
just Well, it's the same thing I like about perhaps maybe shooting guns, or perhaps it's just like it's a useful tool, but it's not particularly about
It's not particularly what?
it's not particularly about the archery itself, but it's like it's the combat related and the impact and the adrenaline related stuff.
Do you have adrenaline when you're shooting the arrows, or is it only like the thought
Well, it's
of
the same.
how
It's
this
the
used to
same
be
as
used?
well, it's the same as like the feel I would get shooting a gun, kind of thing. Like, it's not really about the 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 arrows or anything, or obviously there might be a bit of aspects of history in like an arrow and a horse, but I think I would get the same joy like shooting a gun, you know, paintballing and stuff like that.
So it's more about like you just enjoy the activity physically because it makes you you have like a physical sensation from it. Is that what you're saying?
And I think it's a useful skill when it comes to combat related stuff. It's a useful like life skill. I think that's the main thing. It's a
You think
life skill.
archery is a useful life skill?
I don't think archery is, and that's why I probably wouldn't spend that much time. I would get good at it, but I wouldn't.
Dude, you contradict yourself every second.
No, because it's
You
like the
literally
thing.
said if you
No,
could, hang on, you
no,
said if
because
you could, you would you would shoot an arrow all day. If
well,
you could.
yeah, but it depends. It depends on the context, though, because it's
No,
like
there is no
I watch.
context. Whether
There
do you,
is
would you like to shoot an arrow
no.
all day long because you
There,
enjoy doing it, or
there,
would you not?
there
What
is there
context
is
is there?
there is a context, because it's
What's
like
the context?
in if I was in, because I went horse riding the other day, and it was in the Gulf. I was in the Gulf. So in that kind of context, like horses and archery is pretty. It's like a respected thing. It's not
I
like
don't think I know what you mean by the Gulf. You mean like Gulf of Mexico? Is that what you
no,
mean? Like you were
like the
huh?
Arab, um like the Arab countries.
Oh, like a countryside kind of thing?
No, no. I was in one of the Gulf Arab countries.
Gulf outer countries?
Arab.
Oh, Arab countries. Okay, sorry. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like so I guess if it was a Gulf, it was like near water, right? Is that what you're saying? You were like near the water? Like a nice
No, it was in the desert.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So
in the
you were
desert.
in the desert horseback riding.
Yeah, in the desert. Yeah, and in that context, I'm saying horses and archery it's not like it's not useless. It means something in that kind of context. So I
Well,
was saying it depends on the context.
what context are you talking about? I guess I'm confused by what you mean by what context you're using here, because you're saying that you enjoy horseback riding and you enjoy archery and you like them together because you can see them as having useful skills for that, right?
Yeah.
But you also said that you don't like doing archery all day, even though previously you said you would,
No, I
but
do.
it's in the context. Like, what context? Is the context because you're moving, like you're on horseback, and so you could shoot an arrow all day while on
No,
horseback?
no. I think it's the idea of mastering a potentially useful skill. So I also like swimming as well, and I've always liked swimming.
Why not focus on a a useful skill and not just something
Like
that's
a
potentially
yeah,
useful?
like a modern day useful skill. You mean?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just availability. I think horses are a lot more available, at least in my location, um, than like guns and stuff like that, and the gun range, for example. I think it might just be availability, and it also might just be. I also like challenging myself in the sense of like, I don't like. I like traditional tools
Why, I guess, why
because
do you like traditional tools? Like, what is it about
because
the traditional tools that really
because
get you going?
because it challenges me to kind of adapt using the most basic items ever, versus guns require ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
Things like drones are all just modern day, almost like toys.
Yep. Do you know how to
It
fly a
doesn't.
drone? Do you think that would be a
I've
useful
never.
skill?
I've. I mean, it would obviously be useful in modern day context, but if I had if there was a situation, I'll definitely that those will be the first things that I kind of learn. However, I also enjoy kind of challenging myself to kind of
Wait, I'm sorry.
adapt.
Sorry, can you repeat what you just said right there? You said you would what? Sorry,
I,
like beforehand, like go back like a few sentences.
okay, I was saying I would learn those skills, like
The modern skills?
yeah, the modern ones like a drone flying and stuff like that.
Hmm.
If the need kind of um arose, kind of thing. However, I'm saying I also enjoy going back to very traditional kind of items and skills like hand-to-hand combat and stuff because I feel like it really I feel like a truly skillful person is kind of a person that doesn't need to rely on so much innovation,
Do
but they're
you
able to,
do you do
yeah.
hand-to-hand combat? Like, do you do like tournaments
um
or anything like
um
that, or do you go to classes?
I used to do a lot of boxing. I used to do that a lot as a kid.
Or what stopped you?
Just opportunity, to be honest.
What do you mean by opportunity? Do you not? Can you not afford it? Is that why?
Pretty much. I think, yeah, I would say pretty much. Yeah, I think pretty much that. Like, kind of balancing, you know. Yeah, yeah. It's just opportunity, I guess.
Okay, so it's like the finances that are kind of restricting you from being able to continue on with the hand-to-hand combat stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
And do you have a YouTube?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. Yeah,
Oh no, not channel, but do you have like, so you have YouTube? Okay, but
yeah,
what I was saying is, if you have a YouTube, then you can look on there and look up, videos on what you can do at home to
yeah,
continue training.
yeah, yeah. I definitely like train at home.
Okay, so you do still do the training then. You're
Yeah, I
not, it's
do
not
as
like you stopped.
yeah I do as much as possible at home.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Um I guess I'm just curious, where is this why do you like the old traditional things so much? Like, why don't you
Um,
want to develop skills in the modern sense? Like, that would be beneficial for you in the modern sense.
I mean, I would love to develop modern day like skills. I just think, yeah, I'm not like against that. I would love to. However, there's also another aspect where I do think, but that's not the major reason. But I do think it's nice to kind of challenge yourself to be able to almost be put in like a jungle and kind of just like adapt and survive kind of thing. Like I like the idea of that. So having minimal, you know, help kind of thing. I think I like the idea of that. But that's not the major. That's not like the major reason. I would love to learn like modern stuff and you know.
So what's stopping you for learning modern
Like I
stuff?
said, I think it's mainly just like opportunity and stuff like that.
So all of it has to do with the finances?
Um, Probably. Yeah, probably. I think, well, not even probably. I think if I had all the money in the world, I would obviously, yeah, of course.
Sorry, say that again. What?
Yeah, if I had all the money in the world, I think I would, of course, like learn all as many life skills, whether they're modern or old, as possible.
Okay, gotcha. And you said you're not currently working.
Yeah.
Are you in school?
Not really, but I was contemplating possibly going to school, but it wasn't for the love of learning. It's just for, you know, getting free money perhaps or something. Or just
For
being,
getting money,
yeah.
you said? Like getting a
What was
career?
that? No, I was saying if I was to go into like school, it would be because of like the free handouts kind of thing. Like it wouldn't be because I love learning.
Interesting. Hmm. Um, can you describe to me a time where you were angry and why you were angry?
Um, yeah, I mean, I do think it takes a while for me to get angry. Um, I don't think I can describe the exact. I don't think I want to go into the exact detail, but I do think like it takes me a lot to get angry, and I do think if I feel like perhaps someone is crossing some kind of line, I think that's one reason for me to finally get angry after a while.
What kind of line are you talking about?
Like a personal kind of boundary, I think.
And what would be a personal boundary?
Um, that's interesting. I I do think like most other people, it's probably gonna be ego related stuff. However, I do I am pretty like um self aware where I try to not get angry at anything that is kind of like a personal attack. I try to kind of make things greater than myself, kind of thing.
I don't. What do you mean by make things greater than yourself?
So if someone was to they personally insult you, for example, like instead of making it all about like how dare that person personally insult me, kind of like I try to like over the years to try and kind of like maneuver around it in a way of like, well, the world doesn't kind of revolve around you. Like it doesn't, like it's not about you kind of thing. Like the person might have just insulted you because they had maybe a bad day or something, or they're just trying to insult you and trying to trigger you. But it's just like there's bigger things to kind of, it's not that kind of serious. But of course, there's some things where you have to act, you know. But I don't think,
So I
yeah.
guess can you give me like your own a personal boundary for you that if somebody were to like impose on that boundary or push through that boundary and get you angry, what is happening in that sense? Like, what is that boundary, and why is it a boundary? And how do you respond to somebody who is imposing themselves on that boundary?
Well, I mean, I think it's just like the natural kind of ego, in the sense of like no one wants to be personally maybe attacked, or insulted on like a personal level.
What do you mean by that? Like, what is a personal, like, what would be personal to you?
Oh, that's interesting. I think something attributed, like an attribute of mine,
Okay.
being insulted, kind of thing. However, I have no problem with people debating my arguments, my points, but personal attributes like of me.
So, like, if somebody were to say, like, oh, you suck at XYZ or something, right? Like, that would be
That
something.
I
Not
wouldn't
like
get.
necessarily suck, you know, I'm not trying to like insult you or anything. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
as an example, like if somebody were to push something that you valued about yourself, right? They insulted something that you valued about yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. And so when somebody does do that, how do you respond to that?
I think this is where it's problematic, because it's like I think I can tolerate people, like I said, really pushing back against arguments and points and stuff like that. And even if they're perhaps even if they're insulting me, but it's like an argument kind of situation or a debate situation, it's fine. But I do think after a while, it's like, you know, there's only so many like personal directed attacks you can tolerate. I try not to. However, like I try not to like react to that. Like I was saying, I make it. I kind of like say to myself that it's like I'm not the main, like I'm not the main character kind of thing. Like it doesn't matter if someone insults you, kind of thing. Like
Except it does. Except it does matter if
well,
they
well,
insult you.
well, well. It
It
depends.
matters, and this is
It
why.
depends
This is
because
why, hang on, this
yeah,
is why it
okay,
matters if they insult you.
yeah,
This is why. Because if somebody is insulting you and you don't correct them, they will continue to insult you. And regardless of whether or not the world revolves you or not, right? Because it doesn't have to
yeah,
revolve around you to be given respect, right?
yeah.
So if somebody
How?
is
Okay,
insulting you,
I get your point.
yeah, yeah. So like
However,
it does matter. It does matter for
I
sure.
100%. But what I'm saying is that when I say it doesn't matter, I'm comparing it to the reaction that I will have will be so like bad that it's not worth
Okay,
kind
tell
of
me the
responding.
reaction. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear what the reaction is.
So okay, I think my reaction is very black and white. So if something is really being a hindrance, like a toothache, I will basically like just rip the whole tooth out. So my reaction similar would be similar to that. That's exactly why I don't want to kind of trigger that, because I'm kind of unable to have like a proportionate, if I was to react, it's not gonna be that kind of proportionate kind of thing.
So you're saying the level of reaction if you go to a negative reaction.
Yeah, most people
so
would see
extreme.
it. Yeah,
It's
most
so
people.
extreme
Yeah,
that it's black and white. There is no gray gradient in order
yeah.
to react appropriately to the situation. That's what you're saying, right?
I don't think it's so extreme, but I do think it's like the threat would need to be kind of like neutralized, kind of thing,
And
where it's
how
like
would that
the
happen?
problem.
Like
Well,
what
it
is the
depends.
state that you get into
Well,
when that happens?
well, it depends because it's like if it's like a debating situation, for example.
I'm not talking about debates. I'm talking about
Okay.
somebody insulting you and pissing you off. What is the
Yeah.
response?
Um, like I said, I
How,
mean,
like, give me the full response, not you
I
repressing
don't,
the
yeah.
response. I want to know what is the bad that you're talking about.
Like I said, I mean, so I don't really react to it. I ignore it most of the time, unless I feel like, unless, wait, something's stuck in my throat.
Okay.
So
Take a second.
unless I feel like it's worth it's actually worth it. But if it's if I feel like it's actually worth it, then like the response, it will be basically pretty violent. Like will be with force, pretty much. Like it will be
So it's a
force.
physical violence, right? You're talking
It will be physical force, yeah.
about? Okay.
And that's why I kind of have to be
And
careful.
when you say it's a physical force, is there also a plan to the physical force, or is this just like you lashing out, no thoughts, just straight up physical? Like
Um,
what kind of like physicality is there, you know? Like is there a logic to it, or is it just more of like you lashing out?
well, well, it depends. It depends. Sometimes it's been lashing out. Other times it's like it's a little bit more channeled in a lesser extent. So it's not always kind of like physical in a way. Like it's there's steps. So it's like if someone's disrespecting me, I might. So the first step is like, okay, I'm not gonna talk to this person. So it's kind of channeled. I'm not gonna kind of engage with this person. I'm not gonna be around this person. But I do think when it's pushed to the extreme, then it kind of like becomes an impulsive lashing out kind of thing. And yeah, like, but it takes a lot to kind of get to that. And I would probably rather kind of channel, the anger through different kind of means. Like I said, ignoring them, um, just getting away from them or something. Maybe getting other people to deal with the situation.
Oh,
So
that's
there's
interesting.
multiple kind of chances, kind of thing.
What do you mean by getting other people to handle the situation?
Um, like people that have a little bit more power to get involved, I would probably get them to. So people that, if they have more power to get involved, to deal with it. No, people that are more proportionate, I would say, to deal with the situation.
And how do you get them to deal with the situation?
I might just like ask them verbally, maybe. Like, yeah,
Just be like, hey, I need help. Can you please like get this
yeah.
person
Like
off me or
there's a
something?
problem here. Yeah, there's a problem here. This person, this, that. So there's a lot of steps.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Um. Interesting. Give me 1 second. I'm thinking of a question. I have it, but it's kind of vague. Um. You know what? He might have asked that question already. The time question. He asked you that already, right?
Yeah, you asked me that. Yeah.
Okay. How do you know when something is right or wrong?
I think he might have asked me that as well, but and I think I said something like I just kind of analyze it, or I kind of compare it to my principles that
Yeah,
I
but
might follow.
what are the principles that you're comparing it to? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
I don't think you gave much detail the last time. I would like more
oh,
detail on what the principles are. Like, what are
well,
you comparing it to?
I think just like the natural laws of what is good and bad, which is probably going to be, which is just it depends.
What are
So
the natural laws?
um, I think like the known stuff, like I think universally kind of accepted stuff. Perhaps there's a lot of hints of different religions in them as well.
Can you give
But
me some that you have?
um, not that I can particularly like think of. But
You can't think of any moral laws that are universal that you
I don't
determine what
because
is right or wrong?
um, well, not that I've like written it down, but it's like,
Well, what, like, let's say, like, just give me an example of something that you know is right or wrong.
well, I think obviously maybe harming innocent people, or like, an innocent person shouldn't be killed or harmed, or just like the common universal kind of known stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so you base everything off of those laws. So what about when people
Not
don't follow those?
um like other people.
Yeah. Like when somebody says, yeah, I should be able to harm this person.
Well, it's like you kind of have to deal with like that situation kind of thing.
Yeah. How would you deal with it? Do you just
Well,
let them? Would
well, it depends.
Let me put it this way. Let's say I'm going to give you a scenario because I
Yeah,
see you kind of struggle with scenarios sometimes, like coming up with them.
yeah,
Let's say you're at let's say you're at a bar, right? Whether or not you go to bars doesn't matter. Let's say you're at a bar. There's a woman there and there's a man there, and the man forces a kiss on the woman, right? Is that
yeah.
a universal wrong or universal right?
I would say that's socially, for that, depending on the culture, is probably socially like unacceptable. It depends on the culture, because some
Well,
cultures like,
no, it's universal.
well, I don't know. I don't think it is.
What are you
I think
basing it off of, a universal right or wrong? What is the universal right or wrong on that? If a man is forcing himself to kiss a woman that she does not want to be kissed.
I think my point is, I think it depends. Like, let's use the Western culture. Of course, it would be it's unacceptable. And yeah, I'm not sure what your question was. Like, how I would respond to that.
Yeah, how would you respond to that? How would you respond to that being a wrong thing?
How
Or
would
is
I
it a right thing?
how would I respond to the situation or
How would
the
you
concept?
respond morally, right? What
Um,
is the moral that you are determining what is right or wrong in that situation?
well, in that situation, I think it would be the culture of the place, and how the customs of the place. Like, if everyone doesn't
So you don't believe there are universal morals then? There are not universal laws of right or wrong. It's cultural. That's what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is that it doesn't really matter what I believe. It kind of matters what the culture believes. It doesn't matter if I think, because I could think that's acceptable to do that. It's like it doesn't matter what I kind of believe.
And why is that? Why do you think it doesn't matter what you think?
Because the world doesn't like kind of move around like that. It's like how the world is that.
So if it is socially acceptable for a woman to castrate a man, right?
Yeah.
Because she wants to,
Yeah.
then that's okay. Because it's culturally okay.
Well, I mean, this is not my personal. I'm saying in that culture.
I'm saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're saying
Well,
in the culture, if it's acceptable in the culture, then that's okay. It's okay
no,
for it to
not
happen because it's a cultural thing.
when I say that's okay. I don't mean it's okay in my personal beliefs. No, I'm saying it's my personal beliefs are kind of like irrelevant in that context. But if you're
That's my
asking about like
point.
my
That's what I'm
personal,
pointing out here. That's what I'm
you want to
pointing out
know
here,
you
right?
want to know like my
I'm
personal.
pointing out, this is what I'm
Yeah.
pointing out,
Yeah.
right? Is that you're saying your own personal morals, right, of what's right or wrong is irrelevant to the social right or wrong. That's what you're saying.
Um, pretty much,
Yeah.
kind of
And
thing. Yeah.
so you don't actually make judgments of moral right or wrong on universal right or wrong because you follow the social rules instead.
Pretty much, in less. Yeah, pretty much. But I don't think it's 100% though. I do think there's some things like I believe in God, for example, that I wouldn't compromise on.
What do you mean?
Like I'm saying, yeah, what you said is true, like 90% basically. Yeah.
You said except what? Except what? What is the
Um,
10%, dude?
I think the 10% is like maybe let's say I believe in God and that's my conviction. If the culture was to say like we don't believe in God and that's our culture, I would disagree with that. I might not verbally have to say anything, but inside I would disagree with that. So in that sense, I am making a judgment. But most of the time, the way I maneuver the world is not, the way I maneuver the world is the context kind of thing. What does this culture see as good and bad? What I believe is kind of irrelevant. And, unless they are, unless they're personally kind of, unless I think a better question would be like if that person tried to do that to me personally. Now that's different.
Okay,
But when
so it's okay, hang on. Interesting. So you're saying that you're okay with the social rules, right? As long as they don't negatively affect you. However, if they have negatively affect you, then there is an issue.
um I'm not sure if I understand your question.
Like you're saying that if, let's say, we're going to take the woman, right, castrating the man because
Yeah.
she can culturally, she can do that.
Yeah.
Let's say a
Yeah.
woman castrates you. You're saying
Well, no,
you
but
would not be okay with that
me is different.
because it's you,
I believe
right?
that's
Not other
no.
people.
Yeah, I wouldn't be okay with that because I believe that's unacceptable.
Yeah, you say it's unacceptable, except you do accept it unless it's on you.
N-
You accept it if it's
Well,
culturally, as long as it doesn't affect you. But if you're the ones being
not
castrated, then it's unacceptable.
no. I do think I don't accept it culturally, but I do think I won't particularly
You won't particularly
outwardly.
what?
I wouldn't particularly like outwardly judge. I would inwardly judge. I would be like, that's unacceptable inwardly, but I wouldn't outwardly um judge kind of thing. My phone's on like 10%, so I'm
Okay.
not sure if you want to ask like more stuff or
I do
like,
actually have to wrap up anyway too. So this actually is a
yeah,
good stopping point. I think. I think this
yeah,
is very eye opening and very a lot. I think this answers a lot of questions.
yeah. I mean, has it been like shocking or
No, I wouldn't say it's been shocking, but you are like pulling teeth though
like
to get any
what
sort of
way?
answer from you.
Like I'm kind of like maneuvering in that.
Yeah. You're avoiding quite a bit, so I have to try and get you to answer.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Jade. Thank you so much
Okay. Take
for
care.
meeting up.
So I want to do this a little bit differently. I'm not going to actually go through all of the fixes only because I don't need to. Upon ask, then I'll give it to Zaid directly. But let us talk about functions, function placements, and axes, because that's important, especially when you have crossovers from theory to theory. Now, Zaid is from MBTI and also Voltology. Voltology typed him SE Dom. MBTI, he's also an SE Dom. His community thinks that he's an SE Dom. And this is why I want to speak about it now. Now, this is clearly not an SE Dom. Clearly not even an extrovert. And if it is an extrovert, it's definitely not an SE Dom. SE Doms are seeker destroyers and IDT. SE Doms, period, are seekers. And seeking means seeking impact in the tangible world, presenting yourself more responsive in the moment. They gave plenty of back and forth into avoiding questions directly. And when you avoid questions directly and reflect on it, or when you say things like you're comfortable with sitting back and analyzing it further, you're talking about some form of reflection as an introvert, some form of reflection and trying to sit back and put things together in a way that makes not just sense for you, but also try to help make things or present it in a way to where your best self is being brought to the table. Now, the way that Zaid give off is very much like reading an MBTI textbook and saying, I like to be strong. I want to impact the world. I like stuff like that. Is not actually going through it and talking about any of the principles and things that, typology claims to have, is not actually filtering through on a thinking point of view or analyzing it from a detached point of view. It's very much attached. But there's also an avoidance between the impact and the presentation throughout the video. Even Gigs sound like she had a lot more presence than Zay did. Her having instrumental SE, which means SE in service to FE. There was no SE in Zaid. And in the first video, I kind of was thinking, oh, could this be SE? Even at other points, but then I was like, or I even was thinking, could it be SE expression? And this is just an inexperienced guy. But that's not the case. When you really look at the video, you can hear the avoidance that's happening 24/7. And anyone with SE expression is going to have more of a pinpoint factor to them, in which they will be not just direct, but a lot more aggressive when they are direct. And even SE dominance, although they are still direct, they have a lot more, especially the ones with FE in service, have a lot more charm that goes into it. Quick to respond and kind of adaptive with the emotions of others and giving their opinion. Another thing what you're not hearing is the TI. Where's the TI? The TI seemed like it was there. So when I first heard Zayd before, he was giving off very general kind of like descriptions of what the type of the ESTP was as an answer to the questions that I was given. And at first I was like, yeah, that's kind of, you like impact, yeah. But then I had to sit on it a bit and be like, nah, where is the actual answers? And that just goes to show that there's some type of fixation on being a certain type. Even coming into IDT, I would say that when he asks, he has his type down, but not his development. Knowing that you are a type and now being asked what are the reasons for that type and not being given any TI but given TE. So what you wind up saying is that every system types me this, so that is my type. Now that can speak to a function or not speak to a function, but there's nothing that goes back to what the theory says or speaks about the definition for what it is, which is what an SE Don would do with TI. They'd be like, well, the system says this, and that. This is what I do in reality, and that's that. There's no going to the system. There's no articulating his opinion in a way that is more presented and explanatory based on his actions. Being an SE pillar type is more about sitting back and reflecting upon it further and being very careful on how he answers. And when he's being careful, he's actually destroying things. When I say destroying, I mean he's not answering directly. He's more throwing in possibilities. Yeah, I like to do this, I like to do that. That just speaks to his NE expression. And the SI, the more grounded nature that you hear from him, is his SI in service to FI. Although you weren't hearing the classic words is, I like this, I like that, because there was an avoidance factor there. You did hear him reframe everything around how he feels without actually saying the words. As we don't look for the words, we kind of look for how you're filtering the information, and everything was being filtered based on he having passions into what he want to experience at a certain time. But what he didn't have was, and what he wasn't given was creating that experience for himself, going about it and finding ways to impact the world. He wasn't really pushing that out in a sense to where you can tell that this is just a clear extroverted type who is at the forefront of impact. That's not what we were getting from Zayd. The thinking function of TE was very much a sharded function, taking people's opinions and kind of just living with it, not really politicking on his opinion versus somebody else's, not really utilizing the TI in a way to where it's champion to the collective and champions himself. It has this balance effect to it when it's FE and TI, when it's united in service of any perceiving type. The TI and FE in the middle is coming off like that. They don't take stuff personal, but at the same time, it's like there is a presentation to it when it's SE dominant. It was a lot more reserved. His energy, his feeling function is a lot more reserved. It's FI over FE. It's deep as well. He has a deepness. He actually did share it in the video. I forgot which part, but there's plenty of the reason why he is an attached self-reframer and not an attached seeker-destroyer. So people do make these mistakes, and this is a different system as we're measuring different things. But at the same time, understand that the dominant function does not shut off